In this activity, we will make a file uploader. Let's take a look at the final product together. If I click on Browse, I can locate an image, click Open, and then click Upload. As you can see, the file's been uploaded to our server, and here it is just here. If I click on it, it's on our server. Now, if I was to actually take a look at the files on the server, here they are just here. You can see I have an Uploads folder, and inside that Uploads folder is the image I just uploaded. Now, I will be using MAMP for this exercise as I'm on a Mac, but the same principles apply for WAMP. Let's take a look at the exercise files for this project. You will find that you have an Upload Finished folder containing a finished version of the project, and Upload Start, which is obviously the start files for this project. Inside this folder, you will find an empty folder called Uploads. That's where we'll upload all our images to. And you'll find a upload.php file. So the first thing that I want to do is start my server and move this upload start folder to my server. So in my case, I'm running MAMP, of course. I've started up my server. If you're on Windows, start WAMP. If you're in WAMP, navigate to the www directory. If you're on MAMP, open up the application folder and navigate to the MAMP folder, and you want to find a folder called htdocs, okay? And you can see I've put my folder in here already. There it is there, upload start. Once you've done that, open this folder up with Visual Studio Code and we'll be ready to get started. So in Visual Studio Code, you should have our upload.php file and an empty uploads folder. Let's begin by taking a look at the PHP file. Basically, we have a very simple bootstrap layout. It looks like this in a browser. This is the exact one just here. Start doesn't actually function yet, but this is what it looks like. Let's take a look at the HTML. You can see I've brought in Bootstrap, and if I scroll down a little bit, you can see I have my form input elements. So here, first of all, I have an input element with the type of file. So it's a file uploading input element. And I've also got a label just so the user knows what they need to do with this particular input element. Below that, we have a submit button. Now, right below that, we have a little Bootstrap message box, and this is where we'll display a message to the user whether the file was uploaded successfully or not. And if we look at the user interface in the browser, here we see the label, the browse button, the upload button, and our little alert box. So the first thing we need to do is declare a couple of variables. We'll create a variable called directory, which will store the name of the folder we're going to upload our images to. We will also create a variable called upload OK, and we'll set this to 1 if everything's okay and the image uploads. However, if it fails for some reason, we'll set it to 0. Finally, we'll have a variable called the message, and inside of this variable, we'll store the message that we send to the user. Either the file's uploaded or something's gone wrong. Now, most of our code we don't want to execute unless the user has pressed the upload button and submitted the form, and they've done that via post. So let's insert an if statement that will check that. So we'll say if is set, our super global post submit. So someone's submitted something via post using a form to this page. The next thing I want to do is access the super global files. And you'll notice we're accessing a value here called file to upload. Now you'll notice that this aligns with the name of our input file for files. Okay, so when the user hits the submit button, this form gets submit, and the file that's been uploaded here will be stored inside of the super global called files under this value, files to upload. All right, now that actually comes with a nested array. And that nested array has a bunch of information that we can access about the file that's been uploaded. Now, one of the values we can access is called tmp underscore name. So temp name. What is the temporary name of the file that's been given to this file? So a file's been uploaded and PHP will automatically give that file a temporary name that we'll put on to name the file on the server. All right. So what we'll do, let's save that inside of a variable, and we will call that temp name. Okay. Now we also want to do the same for the file's actual name. We want to pull the actual name of the file out and store that inside of a variable. Oops, I just noticed I'm missing an assignment operator just there. All right, so I've pulled out the temporary name and the actual file name. Now, one of the things I want to know about the file that has been uploaded is what type of file it is. And we can find out using this function here called path info. We pass in the name of the file, and if I pass in path info extension, it's going to check, it's going to return the file extension for this file. Now, the other thing that we might want to also do is just convert it to lowercase so we know for sure everything's in lowercase. That will make it easier to write out if statements because we can just check for everything in lowercase. So for example, if the file that was uploaded was called cat.jpg, this would return JPEG. String to lower will just ensure that the JPEG that is returned, or the string JPEG, is in lowercase. We'll then store that inside of our variable called image file type. The other bit of information our application will need will be the URL of the location for where we'd like to save this file. So we need a URL for where we're going to save this file. So we could do that like this. So in this case, we're referring to the variable called directory, which stores the string uploads. And then we could use a directory separator. And then we put in the name of the file. Okay, so say it was cat.jpg, we'd have here cat. All right, we'll save that into our variable, and then we have a URL for where we're going to store the file that we've uploaded. We now know the temporary name that was given to the file when it was uploaded, and we know its actual name, the actual name of the file. We know the file type. Is it a JPEG? Is it a PNG? Is it a document? And we also have a URL for where we're going to save this file. So now we can actually begin to write our little application. So probably the first thing that I would like to do is check to see if this particular file has already been uploaded to the server. Okay, so someone's already uploaded this file. So in this case, we'll use an if statement, and we'll say if, and we'll use the function file exists. So this will check to see if a certain path already exists on the server. And we pass in the URL for where we'd like to save the file. So it might be upload/cat.jpg. So we'll check to see if that exists. Now, if it does exist, then we're going to create a message that says the file already exists. So we've just declared a variable and we're passing in a string that says the file already exists. And because something's gone wrong, the file already exists, we set upload OK to 0. So something's gone wrong. Our next block of code will be very similar. In this block of code, we're going to check the file type. Our application is only going to allow JPEGs, PNGs, and GIFs to be uploaded. Of course, you could design an application that allows you to upload a whole range of other files, but we'll keep ours to images in this example. So you might remember we had this variable up the top here that stored the file extension. Is it a JPEG? Is it a PNG? And we use string to lower to make sure it's in lowercase. So here I can go, if the file type is not equal to JPEG, and it's not equal to PNG, and I'll just remove that space, that's a bit nicer, and it's not equal to JPEG, and it's not equal to GIF, then run this code. Now, I wonder if I can fit that on one line for you. Oh, doesn't quite fit. I'll just break it over 2 lines. Okay, so in this case, our message is going to say the file type is not allowed. Please choose a JPEG, PNG, or GIF file. Okay, and we'll set upload OK to 0 once again because something went wrong. The file they uploaded wasn't the appropriate file type. Now, so far, if something goes wrong in our application, we set upload OK to 0. So we need to do something if upload OK is set to 0, so we can send some type of message to the user. All right, so let's do that now. Just be another if statement. And we'll say if upload OK equals 0, okay, so something's gone wrong, we're going to set the variable the message, you might remember we declared that at the top, to sorry, your file was not uploaded. So we know it wasn't uploaded because something went wrong. Upload OK was 0. And then we can tack on the specific message that we created inside of our if statements. So for example, if the file already existed, we set the message extension to the file already exists. So it would say, sorry, your file was not uploaded, the file already exists. Or if it was not the appropriate file format, it would say, sorry, your file was not uploaded, the file type was not allowed, etc., etc., etc. Now, if our file was successfully uploaded, we need to do something. So let's put in an else statement. And we'll use this function here, move uploaded file. So when a file gets uploaded, it gets moved to a temporary location and given a temporary file name. We need to take it out of that temporary location and save it wherever we want it to be saved, not to the temporary location. So we want to move our file and rename it from its temporary name to this location and this file name. Now, if we actually break that down a little bit, we might remember that the variable directory is storing uploads. So we want to move it to a folder called uploads / the name of our file. So you might remember we pulled out the actual name of the file that was uploaded and stored it inside of target file. So it'll be upload / cat.jpg or whatever the file is. Now, this particular function will return true or false. So if it successfully moved the file to our specified location, then it will return true. But if something goes wrong, it's going to return false. So we could wrap that in an if statement. And in here, we could put what would like to happen if the file was successfully moved. So in our case, we simply want to display a message back to the user. So we could do something like this. We'd go the message, the file was uploaded successfully. You can preview it here and then include the URL to the file. So you might remember my URL came from here. Okay, so the URL of wherever we saved the file. And as the actual text for the link, I've just put in the actual URL as well. Okay, so that's what will happen if the file was successfully moved. So we can probably test this now and check to see if it works. So I'll open up my browser. Here's my page here. I'll just hit refresh. Okay, so I'm going to browse for a file. I'm going to use this cat image and I'll click open. and I'll click upload. And let's see if it worked. So I'll pop over to my server, and here's the cat image just here. So it uploaded, perfect. Now you might notice we're not getting any message here. We don't have a success message, okay? And if something went wrong, we also don't have the fail message, the error message. Okay, so let's look at correcting that now. So if we look at our code, you might remember at the top of the code we had this variable called the message. And we're actually setting that variable on 2 occasions. Once here inside this if statement if something goes wrong, and then also here if the file successfully saved to the correct location on our server. So what we could do is if we scroll down to our little alert box, we could put in a little bit of PHP. So I'll put in my PHP tags. And then we could say echo the message. Now, if we wanted to, we could also stick this div inside an if statement so that it only shows up if there's something inside of the message as well. But for simplicity, I'm just doing it like this. Okay, so I'll save that. Now, what I'm going to also need to do, I'm going to need to delete that image from my server. So I'm going to go to, in my case, the htdocs folder, upload start, upload cat.jpg, need to delete that image. So I can try uploading it again, or you could just upload a different image, okay? All right, so let's give that a crack. Browse, there's my cat. I'll click open, I'll click upload. There we go. The file was uploaded successfully. There's my link to the file on the server. So if I click on it, it goes to the cat. And if I actually look on the server, there's the file again. So if I go back and I was to try and upload that cat again, let's see what happens. Sorry, the file was not uploaded. The file already exists. Perfect. Seems to be working well. Now, when we upload a file, there's actually a bunch of other things that can go wrong. Not just that the file already exists on the server or that it's not the file type we like. So let's take a look at what other things can go wrong when we try to upload a file. So you might have noticed inside the file, I had this little comment added out reference to a page on the PHP website. Let's go have a look at this together. Now, this page here will list all of the errors that can go wrong when we try to upload a file. And these are actually stored inside of our nested array under the key error. And you can see if it stores the value 0, then there is no error and the file was successful. Okay, good. And then you can see, what have we got here? The uploaded file exceeded the upload max file size. So you'll see we've got a bunch of all these different errors, and each of them are assigned a value. So value 4, value 3, value 2. So what we really want to do is we want to make a list of all these errors and associate them with one of these values. Okay, and then that way we can take a look and see what values stored inside of this super global here under our errors. And say, for example, if it's stored 0, then we know everything's fine, the file was uploaded. If it's stored, say, 1, we know we exceeded the maximum file size. So let's pop back into Visual Studio Code and let's make that list. We'll do it just below all of our variables here at the top. So you'll notice I've declared a variable, PHP file upload errors, and it stores an array. Now inside of that array, essentially we have a list of error messages, and each of these error messages is associated with a key. So for example, there is no error, the file was uploaded successfully is associated with key 0. So if we get, for example, 0 out of this super global value here, we know that our file was uploaded successfully, and we could then pull out whatever's inside of our array key 0 to display as a message to our users. So let's now implement some code that will potentially display these errors to our user if needed. Okay, so what we could do, we might just put it just above this if statement just here. So we could say, if the error code in here is not 0, so it wasn't successfully uploaded, remember 0 is there is no error, the file was uploaded successfully. So if it's not 0, I want you to go ahead and pull out the error message. So let's say, for example, it was 2, okay? That would be 2 there. And we're referring to our array. So it would come up to slot number 2, and it would grab this error message here, and it would load it inside of our variable, the message extension. And we'll also say upload OK equals 0. Something went wrong. All right, so now our application not only checks to see if the file exists and the file type, it also will check to see if there were any errors that occurred when the file was uploaded. And it will also then display those error messages to the user if appropriate. All right, so let's give this a go again just to make sure it works. Once again, I'm going to go to my server and I'm going to delete that image of the cat so I can recycle it. So I'll hit browse, I'm going to grab my cat, I'll hit upload. Okay, the cat was uploaded successfully. Beautiful. Okay, I'm happy with that. Done. So what could you do from here? Well, you could update your code so that maybe you can upload different types of files. Or maybe you want to have the images you uploaded saved to a database. Now, if you do try and save the images to the database, generally you don't save an image directly to the database. It is possible, but normally what you would do is you would save just the URL of where the image is located on the server to the database. So you might have a field inside your database that says image URL, and in there you have the URL for where the image is stored on the server.